Hey guys, Omni here. We're about to dive into a breakdown for the Easter eggs and details you might have missed during Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings over at New Rockstars. If you're not already subscribed to these guys, please do. And I also recommend, if you're a fan of their Marvel, DC, anything like that, go check out their merch store. They got some pretty cool shirt designs as well. I've got their latest What If Obsession shirt, which is really cool. Don't have it on right now, obviously. It's in the wash. Wore it earlier for my reaction to What If. But go check it out. They got some cool stuff over there as well if you like that kind of thing. But I'm really excited to see what they break down in this movie. Again, the MCU and this world in general is something that I'm not as familiar with as I am with like things like DC and other properties. So I always love seeing like the little things that kind of went over my head during the film, especially this corner of the universe, because, you know, as far as Marvel goes outside of the MCU, my knowledge is pretty strictly Spider-Man and the X-Men for the most part when I was growing up. So I like seeing a lot of things that I missed during this. I'm sure there's a lot. So I'm pretty curious to see how they get these things out so fast, man. I'm really curious how like they are able to make these videos so fast, because I feel like this process would take such a long time, man. I mean, they've been doing it for a long time, so I'm sure they've got it streamlined. Now this just raises the question, is like how they get the footage, because it's this one's not on streaming. So anyway, guys, check them out. I'll have a link to the video in the description, so if you want to, you can go subscribe if you're not already to New Rockstars. But let's go ahead and dive into this breakdown of the film. Here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings introduces a new Avenger to the MCU, deeply rooted in mystic mythology, unafraid to pose cryptic questions about the monsters and the shadows of our dimension, and the wonderful weirdos Wong has been hanging out with. I'm gonna break down this film scene by scene for all the deeper layers of meaning and the Marvel Easter eggs that you might have missed. The film opens on the black flag of the Ten Rings, the army of Wenwu, played by the great Tony Leung, who possesses the
Gosh,
Ten
he was
Rings.
awesome.
Now, the Ten Rings organization has appeared in the MCU since the beginning. The terrorist network who kidnapped Tony Stark in the first Iron Man, the operative who aided Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2, the weapons buyer in Ant-Man, and of course, iconography appropriated in Iron Man 3 by Aldrich Killian, and the false Mandarin, the paid actor Trevor Slattery, who actually returns in this film after being extracted from Seagate Prison by
They
forces
finally
of the
followed
true
up on this
Mandarin
one
in the
shot.
2014 short film All Hail the King, now viewable on Disney+. But here on this flag, the Ten Rings logo has had its central weapons replaced with the hook swords used by Wenwu's warriors. And within each of these rings is a character from an ancient Chinese calligraphy known as seal script. Going from the top, it means power or authority. Clockwise to the right means physical strength. The third means strong or robust. Yeah, a lot of these translate to some version of strength or power, kind of like the Ten Rings. What's up? The fourth means extraordinary, magnificent, or great. The fifth means hero, heroic, or outstanding person. The sixth means power, influence. It's also associated with the male genitals. The seventh means large, extensive, great in the literal sense. The eighth means powerful or grand, and also refers to things that are male. The ninth means strong or powerful, and the 10th means pomp or power. Now, Wenwu himself is based on the Iron Man villain of the Mandarin from the Marvel Comics, later renamed Zhang Zhu, but he's also kind of based on Shang-Chi's traditional father, a character known as Fu Manchu. Yes, another bit of very problematic history that Marvel has retconned over the years. Now, in the comics, the Ten Rings are an ancient alien McLuhan technology, each containing the spirit of a cosmic warrior, giving each ring a different ability, but here the film reconceives them as equally powered wrist bracelets, evoking the iron strength bracelets of Chinese martial arts like Hungar. The Mandarin in the comics found the McLuhan rings in the crashed alien spacecraft.
And I'm sure they did that because the rings themselves, while having like a lot of variety in their powers, because there is 10 of them, a lot of them duplicate a lot of the abilities that the Infinity Stones have. And I feel like Marvel probably also wanted to do something different with it at the same time as not giving it somebody that has like powers we've already kind of seen and like rehashing that again, because a lot of the rings do have a lot of the same powers as the Infinity Stones. So makes sense that they would kind of change that up, and I like how they kind of recontextualized it in these like Hungar style like strength bracelets.
Craft of Axon Kar, and later on in this film it is said that Wenwu might have found them in a crater or a tomb, but it's never confirmed, though it looks like the post-credit scene starts to go more into their origin. Now, in the MCU past, Ten Rings members Raza and Jackson Norris bragged about the Ten Rings' history of conquest in the Asian continent.
The bow and arrow once was the pinnacle of weapons technology. It allowed the great Genghis Khan to rule from the Pacific the Ukraine.
He was a warrior king. Inspired generations of men through the Middle Ages.
And now we actually get to see that
Yeah.
history as Wenwu whips his
This was
10
such
rings
an
into a
awesome
shield
opening.
that deflects all enemy arrows. The previous pinnacle of technology now being supplanted by his. And I love this shot where he extends his rings, hovering from his fist like a collapsible baton, just like we saw Norris use in All Hail the King. Now the film returns to these extensive flashbacks throughout the narrative. So for now, just to stick with the chronology, Wenwu travels through a bamboo forest and discovers a clearing guarded by Zhang Li, Fala Chen's character, who duels him in this beautiful acrobatic ballet with movements that are actually based on Tai Chi. Contrastingly, the combat style of Wenwu and the style that he trains his son and all of his warriors is based on Wing Chun, a traditional southern Chinese kung fu, but Zhang Li's style reigns supreme as she knocks him off balance. Her fighting style incorporates airbending, something the people of Ta Lo seem to be skilled at, and it gives them a special connection to the earth that Wenwu's mastery over tech that is actually alien from another world can't really compete with. She's literally on her own
love
turf.
it, man.
It's a lovely
This fight
story
was
that we get to
gorgeous.
see, and it's a genre referred to as wuxia. You may have also seen it in titles like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It refers
That's exactly
to
what I thought of.
romances set amidst picturesque natural landscapes. The cinematographer of this film was Bill Pope, who actually shot The Matrix, and you can see the parallels in the warm color tones and the wire work and the way Zhang Li dodges the rings almost as if in bullet time. Now the rings
I didn't
glow
know that
blue
bit.
whenever they're used by Wenwu, contrasting the golden colors associated with Shang-Chi and his mother and her people. Blue is a colder color tone associated with death, since that really is how Wenwu uses these
I
rings.
see purple,
Whereas
man.
gold
Like maybe
is
like a
associated with sunlight and life.
little
Wenwu
bluer
gives himself
purple,
a
but-
chance at life by locking his rings away, giving up immortality, falling in love with Zhang Li, and having two children, Shang-Chi and Ling. Their mother gives them both these green pendant necklaces, but the fun comes to an end when Wenwu's former enemies find him, the Iron Gang, and they attack while he's away, killing Zhang Li. Now, it is interesting that they are called the Iron Gang, and Iron Man is a longtime enemy to the Mandarin in the comics, but that might just be a parallel I'm seeing. So in his grief,
Could be a
Wenwu
little,
returns
like,
to his rings, gets his revenge, and brutally
nod.
trains his son into a killing machine to follow in his footsteps. And he does this with the help of his lieutenant, Death Dealer, based on the killer Death Dealer Li Xinling. In the comics, Wenwu orders Shang-Chi to kill the head of the Iron Gang, and Shang-Chi never returns home afterward, leaving his sister behind. Bringing us to the modern day in San Francisco. Shang-Chi, going by the name Shan, played by Simu Liu, lives in a garage, and there's a poster on his wall for the movie Kung Fu Hustle,
Yeah,
a
saw
martial
that.
arts action comedy, a must-see, which also features the use of iron strength bracelets. He and his friend Katie, played by Awkwafina, work as valets at the Fairmont Hotel in a fun fake-out, since if you think about it, several other Marvel heroes have been introduced as owners of nice sports cars as opposed to the people who park them. Shang-Chi eats breakfast with Katie's family, but on the way in, outside the building, there's a poster reading post-blip anxiety.
I
You
saw
are
all
not
this
alone,
stuff. There's a
National
bunch of-
Blip Support
bunch of blip
Hotline. I guess kind
posters.
of like a post-Endgame version of what Steve Rogers had in Endgame, but now this for people going through the kind of trauma Monica Rambeau went through at the hospital, or that poor Midtown High tuba player who got tackled. There's also a poster for something called Blip Sync, which according to interviews with the screenwriters is a dating app for those who were blipped. Good luck getting them to be honest about their ages. He mistakenly sits in the seat of Katie's grandmother's late husband, and Katie and her mother debate the importance of superstitiously clinging to the memory of dead loved ones, which sort of first hint at this movie's deeper theme of ancestral grief. Shang-Chi as a character wants to escape the bloodshed of his ancestry, while his father lets his grief drive him mad and threaten to spread literal soullessness across the world. So Shang-Chi must learn to channel his pain from his father into something different, something positive, which is an idea director Daniel Destin Cretton said was key to his own journey of self-discovery while crafting this film. These rings symbolize that ancestral weight, dragging Wenwu down, but when transferred to his son, they change color and become a force for good. Katie tells Shang-Chi about her art of confusion defense tactic, which is randomly singing the Eagles Hotel California. Ironically, Katie and Shang-Chi work at a hotel in California where they may feel like they, in the words of the song, can check out anytime they like, but they can never leave. Now they sing Aladdin's A Whole New World in karaoke, reflecting their escapist fantasies of trying to find a whole new world. canceled. But then in the post-credit scene, they hilariously come back to Hotel California with Wong. Because as I said, there's no turning back. They're now trapped in this Avengers crisis
Wong has
world,
become such like this breakout interesting character since his introduction.
Amazing stunt work that keeps your eye on the real object of this fight, not Shang-Chi himself, but his necklace. Meanwhile, in the early rounds of the fight, you'll notice Razor Fist glowers at them from the back of the bus, with fighter Florian Munteanu playing the assassin from the comics. Watching this all go down is comedian Zach Cherry as Clev.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Clev coming at you live on the bus. I actually did take a little bit of martial arts as a youth, so I'm gonna try and grade this fight as we're going.
This same guy previously appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming. He told Spider-Man to do a flip.
Okay, Spider-Man!
Oh, shit.
Yeah!
And then after that movie came out, Zach Cherry went on Stephen Colbert pushing a campaign for Do a Flip Guy to get his own MCU spinoff. So it's awesome to see him come back here. Now look closely at the comments on Clev's live stream. They include @Capiopia saying these dudes are regretting their life decisions. Then @Anti-Darkness saying unreal with a purple background. This could be Auntie Agnes, aka Agatha Harkness, often
watching from her social media in her trap background.
Because at this point over in Westview, she's stuck in a trance after Wanda Maximoff
Oh, that'd be interesting.
In the WandaVision final episode. And then there's Climbing Guy 3000 who says, I literally can't even. This could be an alias of Peter Parker who loves climbing, and he could be shouting out the guy who loved us 3000. You'll also notice how several of the commenters praise Shang-Chi's fighting skills, calling him Bus Boy, which is a bit of viral fame, similar to how Peter Parker initially got the attention of the whole world and of Tony Stark in online videos just like this. And he was a boy literally also saving a city bus. And after he takes down a few of them, the extra award goes to Jean Jacket here, who crosses her arms until the guy falls and her eyes bulge out at Shang-Chi. Now, contrasting the more stylized
I didn't notice that
of his elders, Shang-Chi's combat is more practical and slapstick. He uses his jacket, he springs off the elasticity of the bus joint bellows,
I wonder if he'll mention it, but I'll get to it.
To subdue his foes. This style was made famous by Jackie Chan films, all coming from this movie's stunt coordinator, the late Brad
Chang.
Allen, who was a member of the Jackie Chan stunt team and receives a lovely tribute in this movie's credits. And you can see more of this in
Andy, what was it, Andy Chang? Because I wrote that down in my notes for my review, is the fight coordinator on this film who was and has worked with Jackie Chan's stunt team. So that's, I think, where a lot of that homage comes in too, because he's worked directly with that crew. And that's definitely what a lot of this invokes. Even this scene coming up here where they're fighting on the scaffolding outside the building. Yeah, it definitely had a Jackie Chan vibe to a lot of the fight scenes, and I'm 100% sure that was intentional.
Intricate stunt work later in the scaffolding fight. Shang-Chi uses the planks balanced on the bamboo to both swing himself down to the lower level while seesawing it to knock someone in the head, and then later knocks down an enemy to turn that person into a bridge to run across and then knock them down. It's all like a big elaborate game of mousetrap. It's super fun to watch. But back to the bus fight, it all goes down in 3 acts. The second act begins as the bus enters the tunnel, and notice the camera stays on Shang-Chi from the exterior of the bus as he works his way down it from right to left. He throws dudes out the window, just kind of mows them down, paralleling the amazing lateral camera movement in the iconic hallway fight in the 2003 movie Old Boy.
You know, I've still never seen Old Boy.
This hilarious crisis of Katie having to take the wheel. Now, as Razor Fist slices the bellows, look carefully, because at first you can see the necklace around Shang-Chi's neck, but then he turns his back to us and Razor Fist starts moving his other hand around. And then when Shang-Chi kicks Razor Fist into the back half as it tears off around the turn, and he leaps at us into the front half of the bus, you can see Shang-Chi's neck is bare and his necklace is now
a
gone,
nice
and that
little
must have been
detail.
the moment Razor Fist snatched it, but Shang-Chi doesn't realize it until later. Now at dinner, their friend references the blip when she says they live in a world where anyone can disappear at any moment. So again, yes, this is set after Endgame, and notice how Shang-Chi wears a Silmar High School shirt that on the back says Class of 2017. So if 10 years have now passed since Shang-Chi ran away when he was 14 years old, if he graduated in the year 2017, that would set this movie in July 2024 by the Jazz Music Festival ads on the bus, setting this at almost exactly the same time as Spider-Man Far From Home when he was in Europe, and also allowing us to conclude that Shang-Chi, to be this old, must have survived the snap and must have had to age during those 5 years. Shang-Chi follows a postcard leading him to Macau, along with Katie, to this cage fighting club owned by his sister Xialing, but operated by Ronny Chieng as John John. This club is called the Golden Daggers Club. Now, the Golden Dagger was a name from early Shang-Chi comics, Master of Kung Fu number 44, and it was the name of one of Fu Manchu's subsidiary groups. Now, in the various low-level fights in the rooms of the background is a sumo wrestler. There's also a female warrior. We know stunt actress Jade Ju returns in this movie after she played a Black Widow agent in the movie Black Widow. And in the credits, she is credited as Widow, meaning she is the same character
that's
from Black Widow,
awesome.
which might be why she now wears black with a red belt. And she must be one of those freed Black Widows from the Red Room, and now she's fighting in Macau. Give her a spin-off.
That's
There's also
awesome.
a fighter with flesh glowing red-orange, apparently a recipient
Maybe,
of AIDS
yeah.
extremist treatment from Iron Man 3, suggesting that some
I
of
thought maybe he was
Aldrich
just a
Killian's
powered
test
person, but
subjects
I
might
forgot
have
about
gotten
it.
away
He
from
could
that
be
battle, and one of them
possibly
now has his life fighting in
infected
cage
with
matches
extremists.
on the other side of the world. But the marquee match, of course, is Wong, Doctor Strange's fellow sorcerer, fighting Abomination. Now remember, Abomination was Emil Blonsky, Tim Roth, who fought the Edward Norton version of Hulk and Harlem in the 2008 film, and we believe has been imprisoned ever since. It is amazing to see him return in the MCU here. This version of him looks different with a greener color and head fins. He also wears pants, similar to his appearance from the comics. But this change was never explained. I presume the way Hulk's redesign between the 2008 film and the Avengers wasn't really explained either. But Wong does call him Emil in this movie, so it is the same character. After Abomination actually hits Wong, Wong gets him back by opening a portal to make Abomination knock himself out.
That was
similar
such
to
a
how
good
Wong used clever
move.
portal tricks to beat Big Boy Call Obsidian in Infinity War. Later, the two appear to retreat to what looks like a facility that looks like it has a high-tech containment cell in there. Maybe where Blonsky is being forced to stay when he's not sparring in Macau with Wong. This facility could be the Raft Prison or some other facility overseen by Thaddeus Ross, because maybe Blonsky is being allowed to train as part of Ross and Val's upcoming Thunderbolts initiative, and maybe they only trusted Wong, this sorcerer, to be his chaperone.
Or they have no idea this is going on.
A flag that looks like the flag of Madripoor, the fictional Southeast Asian country that appeared in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The postcard we found out was sent not by Xialing, but by their father, a trick to trap both of them in the same place at the same time. Shang-Chi fights the Ten Rings warriors on the scaffolding and fights Death Dealer until his father appears and lays a gentle but terrifying ring-equipped wrist on his shoulder. So they all return to the Ten Rings compound, where Wenwu reconciles the MCU's past depictions of the Mandarin legend with his truth, laughing how Aldrich Killian invented the Mandarin boogeyman identity, naming it after a chicken dish. And we actually see on his video screens footage of Tony Stark's captivity by the Ten Rings in the first Iron Man film. Wenwu plugs Shang-Chi and Xialing's necklace pendants into the eyes of the wooden dragon carving in his shrine, causing water to flow out and mystically bend, revealing the path in the bamboo forest maze that will lead to Ta Lo, Zhang Li's hidden kingdom that he was never allowed to enter, and where he now believes her soul to be trapped in a cave, voices calling out to him. Now, in the Marvel Comics, Ta Lo is one of the God Realms, a small pocket dimension adjacent to Earth, the great canopy of heaven, home to celestial dragons, and a phoenix-like Feng Huang, the wooden Quilin beasts, and a canine-like Hete, and the race known as the Jian. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of that. And surviving in this compound's dungeon is Trevor Slattery, Ben Kingsley, serving as the Jester. He recaps what he went through in Iron Man 3 and in the All Hail the King short, and when they stumble upon him here, he was quoting the knock 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 monologue from Shakespeare's Macbeth, the drunken porter from Act 2 Scene 3, and in that scene, the porter imagines himself as the man answering the gate of hell, reinforcing one of the themes of that play, that the castle setting is really a form of hell for the characters. And for Trevor Slattery, this is a speech that amused Wenwu enough into keeping him around, which is super ironic since Trevor ends up as a supporting player at this movie's Hell's Gate as it opens. Also,
that surprised the crap out of me, man.
McDermott played the porter in the famous 1978 production that starred Ian Kellen as Macbeth and Judi Dench as Lady Macbeth. He's accompanied by the
I want to see that play. Look at those players in there, man.
Morris is actually a Dijiang from Chinese mythology, associated with the personification of Hundun, a legendary faceless being of primal chaos. This guy actually appeared back in Wenwu's research journal.
I've seen like images of these little guys before.
Sketches of several other mythological beings who later appear in Ta Lo. They break out and steal Razor Fist's car, and since we never hear his name spoken
Phoenixes, nine-tailed foxes.
the fact that his name is written all over his car is really the only way we learn his name. Using Morris to guide them through the bamboo forest maze until they reach Ta Lo, where Morris reunites with others of his kind, and they see lots of other mythological creatures, including the Huli Jing, that's a nine-tailed fox-like creature, the Fu dogs, these are the big lion-like creatures that guard shrines and temples, and pairs. These are also known as guardian lions,
Yep.
and Wenwu actually has statue versions of them at the gates of the Ten Rings compound. And the vermilion
Very
bird,
common.
representing the element of fire. And that turquoise horse with the face of a dragon is the Longma, which really just translates to horse dragon. Seeing one of these is supposed to be considered an omen of a legendary sage ruler, which if you think about it, both Shang-Chi and his sister Xialing will evolve into by the end of this film. The Ta Lo people are led by Guangbo, played by Yuen Ma, legendary Hong Kong actor and stuntman who worked with Bruce Lee in the 1670s with films like Fist of Fury and Enter the Dragon. And the popularity of Bruce Lee in particular is one of the big influences of the Shang-Chi comics of that time. Among
Very
the people
true.
of Ta Lo is Michelle Yeoh as
Yeah.
Xiang Nan, Lee's sister, who explains how they are connected to this benevolent dragon that they call the Great Protector, who for them has fought off a demonic entity from another realm that, along with its smaller tentacled drones, feeds on souls. Now the creature is only ever given the name of Dweller in Darkness, and Nan explains how it fed on their vast cities that spanned alternate realms beyond this world. This is the beast trapped behind the seal, who has been in Wenwu's head, disguising himself as
Promising
the voice
his
of
greatest
deceased wife,
desires.
which is similar to Lovecraftian monsters like Cthulhu and Nyarlathotep, who form psychic telepathic links with mortals, driving them crazy. Nan says the Dweller of Darkness promises your greatest desires, an oddly specific Faustian offer, which could link with the cosmic dark magic of Peter Parker's wish fulfillment spell in Spider-Man No Way Home. And the pulsing beacon inside the Ten Rings that Wong discovers in the post-credit scene could be setting up a supernatural interdimensional threat that the Marvel heroes will face in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, a villain like Shuma Gorath or one of the other tentacled elder gods, or
Possible.
the demon Kathan, who drafted the Darkhold and in the comics initially cursed Wanda Maximoff with her sorcery, or maybe a figure like Nightmare or Mephisto, of whom this beast could have been a weapon of their making. Also, this week's episode of What If brought back that mysterious interdimensional tentacle monster from the pilot episode, really the first
I think
continuity we've
this
seen on
really
that series,
ties
and we've only
into
seen
what's
just
happening
one part
here
of that giant
in some
creature
way.
so far. It was one of many mystic demons from other realms that Doctor Strange absorbed. Could these creatures be linked to the one we saw in Shang-Chi? Well, while not everything we see on the animated What If series will cross over into the live-action MCU, this definitely parallels Shang-Chi's hints of this demonic tentacled monster from other realms trying to absorb life forces, and it would not surprise me at all if Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness ends up establishing this soul sucker and the What If monster as part of the same family of Elder God-esque beings, if not the same creature. The seal, we learned, is formed from dragon scales of the Great Protector. Dragon scales also form the armor and the weaponry of these Ta Lo guardians. And
I
Shang-Chi
love
receives
that,
his
man.
accurate suit, a fabric made of these same scales, which, along with Xialing's new clothes, were left to both of them by their mother. And Nan carries that legacy of her sister by training Shang-Chi in that Tai Chi style that his mother used to defeat his father Wenwu, by opening up his fist into an open palm and setting up Shang-Chi in the final battle to defeat his father using that same kind of dance and beautiful eye contact.
Like, it
that we saw
definitely
in that
reminded me
earlier
of like a
scene.
combination
Also,
of
in this
Tai
training
Chi,
dojo
Wing
here,
Chun,
the base
and
of it is
Bagua
Wang Mian
Zhang.
Serpentine, the body of the Great Protector, showing how in this setting they are bound by the dragon's protection. They train up to brace for this fight with Wenwu and his forces, who arrive, leading to this vicious battle between the Ten Rings and the warriors of Ta Lo. The father and son face off, but Wenwu blasts Shang-Chi into the water and begins hammering away at the gate, allowing soul suckers to leak into this realm. One of them snatches Death Dealer, and the two warring sides decide to join forces against these soul suckers, because only
Yeah, I
Ta Lo
like that
weaponry
shit, man.
works
I
against
love
them.
when you
Meanwhile,
have
deep in the
like
water,
two
Shang-Chi
forces just
awakens the
like,
Great
all right,
Protector and
we need to work
reconfronts his
together.
father at the foot of this
I love
crumbling
shit like
seal.
that.
Now, after Shang-Chi failed to defeat his father using the same Wing Chun combat that his father taught him, this time he disarms Wenwu the same way Zhang Li did, using the more graceful Tai Chi movements, bending the rings to his will. And seeing that his great love lives on not in the imposter from beyond, but in the grace of his son, grace that persisted despite Wenwu's best efforts to stamp it out, Wenwu learns the core lesson of this film of ancestral grief, that the pain of our past isn't reason to destroy, it's fuel meant to rechannel to bring life. And I would argue, despite this being a pretty strong origin story for Shang-Chi in the MCU, as a whole,
Definitely.
this movie is less of the story of the hero, but like other great Marvel films, like
It's
Avengers
more
Infinity
about the
War,
father.
Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Black Panther, this is truly the story of the villain with a complex soul. Wenwu is truly the heart of this film, and it makes it a more captivating story, in my opinion. Meanwhile, Slattery hilariously plays dead, Morris joins him, all while the rest work together to take down the Mega Soul Sucker, including an amazingly lucky arrow hit by Katie. They send lanterns out on the water to memorialize the fallen, and
I loved the message, like with her little like arc, because there's this whole thing like with her not really committing to anything. Like anytime she got good at something, she would just kind of quit and move on to something else or whatever. Like she could never really settle to anything. And I love that one little line which explained her entire character and her trajectory in the movie. And it was like, if you aim at nothing, you hit nothing. And then so they start to allow her to train with the others in the camp in the village, and takes up the archery, and we see over this progression of time like her getting better at it, and it just that whole thing is a physical and visual metaphor for her character growth in it. And I don't know, I really loved that.
we leave it to Xialing to dismantle the Ten Rings network, but as we learn in the second post-credit scene, she actually takes over the throne and expands the Ten Rings operation to return in either a sequel or a Disney Plus series. I personally hope to oversee a fighting tournament of eccentric fighters from the MCU.
Yes.
Katie tells their
Yes,
friends
please.
over drinks that Shang-Chi defeated the monster by doing a Kamehameha fireball. Of course, not a
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, and yeah, that is kind of the move Shang-Chi used to kill it. And after not being believed by their friends, Katie and Shang-Chi are summoned by Wong to join them in the Sanctum Sanctorum, where in the post-credit scene, they meet Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel, learn of the pulsing beacon in the rings, all of which I went into in another video. But I love how the closing image of this film has Shang-Chi joining Wong through a portal ring, a way of showing how when these rings glowed blue, they were heavy burdens chaining Shang-Chi to death, to the pain of his father. But now, as they glow golden, they represent a magical gateway to another world, to life for this future Avenger. You can support new rock stars by checking out our
Damn, man. Yeah, I love that whole bit. And plus, like, they were like, it's not vibranium. Like, they go through this whole thing of establishing all the things that we know in the Marvel Universe as far as material goes. It's not Chitauri tech. It's much older than Shang-Chi even knows at this point, which delves into the origins of the rings in the comics, at least. Obviously, their alien origin. But I'm wondering if it's some kind of mystical tech, something from these mystical dimensions, maybe, because there's a line in the movie where their aunt is like, was your father hearing these voices while he's wearing the rings? And they said, yes, he's always wearing the rings. So something about the rings is connecting them to, allowed him to connect to this demon at the end. So like, I'm wondering if it has some connection to that dimension, and maybe the seals or the barriers of that dimension, since they were able to be used to open that door to break through the dragon scales. And I'm also wondering if maybe, since the next movie in the lineup is the Eternals, maybe it's somehow linked to the Celestials in some way, because it's also got that gold kind of filament texture to the rings themselves. Obviously not the glow, but maybe it has some kind of tie to the Eternals or the Celestials and maybe their origin, but I don't know. But I think we're opening the door more and more, and like with Multiverse of Madness, with what we've seen in What If so far, I think that we're going to see some more hints as we're going into these other realms where these creatures exist, like this tentacled one from the animated series, this soul-sucking demon from Shang-Chi, Shumagorath, who is rumored to be coming in Multiverse of Madness. I think something on that side is calling out, and maybe this is the first thing that really connects the material world to that plane. Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do with that? But I absolutely love this movie. I love the subtext in it. I love the messaging in it. I love the performances in it. The action in it was beautiful, well done, and completely outshadows any other hand-to-hand combat we've seen in like the MCU in a long time, man. Like, they put in the work to make this look great. And the Jackie Chan influences, the Hong Kong martial arts influence that comes into this, like really show, because like they put in the effort, the way the camera moves with the action, the way the camera follows the action, the way that the action is shot and captured is very authentic, and it allows you to see everything that's going on, and any of the cuts are part of the motion and not a distraction of the motion. It allows you to follow the flow. It allows you to follow the action well and see all the hits, the choreography, and everything you need to see. Everything that has been lacking in a lot of action that has been shot in the last couple of years. And I love it, man. I loved it. Fuck, I love this movie. I want to go see it again. But anyway, guys, what do you think of this breakdown? What do you think of the movie? Sound off in the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends, Mandy Share, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, and Yuri Korskov. If you want to talk about this further, come join our Discord. Join me in the live stream that's coming down in a little while. By the time this comes out, or by the time you see it, it might already be a little too late for that one. But follow me on socials, follow me on the Discord. All links to that is in the description of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.